How's it going, everyone? Or how's it coming? Spicy Lad is here once again. I'm here today as I want to get some stuff off my chest. Thusly, this won't be me covering speculation. Or maybe it sort of is in a meta sense, not analyzing the meta-narrative either. I mean, I wanted to talk about the ways many of us speculate and discuss about the series of games. This may extend to any number of other artistic works, but given the specialty of this channel, I'm sticking to Undertale and DELTARUNE for this one, as you'd expect. To be a tad more particular, there are a number of things that some of us do, at any given point, that are not quite conducive to healthy communication and interpretation. This will be me chiefly voicing my frustrations and concerns about how other fans go about this sort of thing, in what I find to be not great ways, yet also pointing myself out for my own wrongdoings of that similar ilk. It's just been bothering me again recently, so I want to put it all here in a video for more widespread access, or at least broadly so. I'll be using specific subjects as examples, so gastrointestinal denial is absolutely going to be mentioned, but it's more so the underlying causes and attitudes that I'm focusing on, rather than just announced actions. If I sound heated during this video, I don't necessarily have resentment towards people doing these actions, but more so the actions themselves. You will know if I'm actually angry at these people. I hope I've made myself clear as I begin now. The first thing I want to mention is many fans tend to form something of a mutual blind consensus on parts of these games. In other words, a group of people agreeing on elements of Undertale and Deltarune based almost solely on what each other already believes, regardless of any actual evidence to the contrary. This was more so a problem in the Undertale era, as fandom ran wild and often overshadowed canon information. It's how we got stuff like Sans fully remembering resets instead of canonically having deja vu like everyone else, with the one, albeit important, deviation from this being that he knows full well that they happen and what causes them. There are quite a few examples I could make out of how people interpret and used Sans back in the day, but just for this video, I'll only specify the music stuff. The way that nearly everyone who made or listened to fan songs just kind of ignored Sans' actual self-named theme and leitmotif in favor of Megalovania. This isn't to say fan songs like this were bad, Six Bones' battle theme is still a bop to this day, but why the hell does it have Megalovania instead of Sans in its composition and instrumentation? It's like having aspects of Snowy or Dating Start instead of Nyeh for Papyrus. It has little rhyme or reason to it. This doesn't just apply to what the larger fandom knows or thinks they know, but also what they don't. An example that's particularly glaring now is the likes of Clamgirl and its implications hardly, if ever, getting covered by YouTube videos that people cared about in the Undertale era. It's weird, and it continues to hamper Undertale and Deltarune discussion in how oddly little it's recognized, even after the Goner Climb edition. The most obvious Deltarune foreshadowing in the playable game, and almost no one gave a damn about it until it was too late. Kind of like how Toby saying there's another Undertale game coming out that's shrouded in darkness, also, somehow, being almost entirely ignored for 5 fucking years. There's also the phenomenon of fans clinging to the changing tides of extremes. This includes initially adoring Toriel and despising Asgore without recognizing nuance, and now many do the opposite, but still refusing to acknowledge the nuance. Even as someone who does heavily favor Asgore over Toriel for reasons explained in another video, these people really aren't doing either character justice. Mischaracterization is a common ailment here. It gets worse when in the context of more pressing matters in the games. In Deltarune, but thankfully when it was just Chapter 1, so many people were hellbent on this game just being Undertale 2, nothing more, nothing less, mischaracterizing Chris, boiling them down to only their Kara parallels, ignoring the influence of the player, and all the ways that's foreshadowed and eventually flat out shown to us, and above all, just completely derailing everything built up about the game at that point, Dark World and all, just so we can have a mandatory genocide route and a serious Sans battle as early as Chapter 2. It's shit like this that probably has a lot of casual fans nowadays think that the weird route is either showing Chris's true colors, despite the many ways they and other characters show it's against their wishes, or that it's of dubious canonicity for no goddamn reason. Whew, taking a breath. Naturally, back then, we didn't know how many chapters this game would have until late 2021. Even I was surprised when I saw that there was going to be 7 in the chapter select. But it was certainly going to be more than just 2! I have no idea why so many want to go that far into mandatory extremes so early on, but at least it's not nearly that bad anymore. At the time of me writing this, we're in an era that's peculiarly segregated. Lots of fans who are very excited for the future of the game, myself very much included, obviously, but also those within this group who are rather uncritical of what they observe. Almost inversely, there are those who are pessimistic about Deltarune, to the point where they hope everything being built up is nothing but a farce, and really believe Toby to be a hack artist who hates his own work and his fans, despite his extensive explanations of Undertale and Deltarune's conceptualization and his passion for it, actively wanting less from the game and creator they supposedly care about. The act of speculation being an extension of this, as they see it as a cringy thing that only exists to be quashed or mocked.
Fucking gas pipe theory.
I said almost inversely, as while these sections of the fandom are completely opposite in their attitudes and backgrounds, they both stem from the same core issues: poor media literacy and paradoxical uncuriosity, toxic positivity and toxic negativity. Fun! Trying to explain to the Manics that not everything is due to Gaster's direct involvement, or how the likes of Unknown Valentine probably aren't Gaster himself. They'll effectively just say that everything is Gaster and to not be a party pooper. And I get it, I'm a Gaster boner writer myself, but there's more than just Gaster, even though he is very important. But then the Gaster deniers would say that Gaster isn't, nor was ever, important, claiming that he was any combination of just a cut character, despite being in the playable game since 2016, that he was just some joke character, or all around somehow uninvolved with Deltarune, the game he was absolutely made for. They don't actually want the truth or anything approaching it, they just want their cheap thrills. Be it empty catharsis with only Gaster and Chris to fill it, or for everyone's founded expectation and enthusiasm to be crushed, and Toby's integrity along with it. Or a lot of these people could be trolls, especially the latter, so less than worthless. For other cases that aren't quite like this, you still find comments on Undertale-specific videos, such as analysis videos or song uploads, that just completely miss the mark on what we already officially know. You get comments on stuff like Muse Smile uploads on YouTube, and commenters will be saying nonsense about entry number 17 that not only doesn't take other things just within Undertale into account, but still somehow act like Deltarune doesn't even exist, even though the game predates the comments by multiple years. It's surely one thing not to have encyclopedic knowledge on Gaster and adjacent topics. However, it's another to ignore the existence of an entire, popular, ongoing game in the same series that's been out for years that focuses squarely on the very topic that the entry addresses solely multiple times. And Undertale and Deltarune YouTubers also missing details is especially disheartening, as their large reach begets even more misconception among their viewers. The omission of the connection to darkness to space-time via determination is a big one, but still, these often are just honest mistakes, and the best course of action is to try and get each other, including said YouTubers, up to speed on what we actually know. We have to do this not just in the context of a video on these games, but also many other topics and settings, such as a quality of good discussion, while minding context and tone, of course. As y'all can see, I might have pretty high standards for fandom discussion and interpretation. This is both due to how I've seen all manner of things done both right and wrong, but also because I'm not that divorced from the latter. To elaborate, I was in the Undertale fandom long before actually playing the game, getting most of my info from early theory videos and fan art, which is like a worst case scenario. However, I've of course improved there over the years, and I now think and rethink stuff quite thoroughly, as well as keeping myself up to date as much as possible. Most of what remains now is anger issues. Now with all these people saying all these careless errors or even just stuff I believe is wrong, it reminds me of myself, so I now act both out of defense and shame, or even just being completely baffled or surprised at someone getting something way wrong or being clueless concerning a subject that I've since taken for granted. That not so much being out of anger, but just surprise. But not seeing the logic in something or failing to convey my own to others drives me mad to no end regardless. Yes, I'm a rage player, how'd you guess? Furthermore, I tend to use people's thought processes and the like in frivolous settings like understanding video games to gauge how their behavior and beliefs extend to subjects that actually matter, i.e. how being so quick to dismiss proven information on a fictional work or unjust judgment of an artist may translate into similar poor actions in everyday life. Is it wise of me to use this as a reliable behavioral microcosm for such topics? I'm not sure. I just want us all to be as close to the same page as possible, and I can be quite assertive about that. Hell, a lot of the time, my explanations, as forward as they often are, don't so commonly initiate with anger. It's when info isn't getting through to the other person that actually catalyzes my frustration, be it them fighting or ignoring me or shutting me down in an illegitimate way. Despite my reasons, I am still flawed in my approach, thus I am part of the problem. Sorry for getting personal there, but I'd be lying if I just omitted myself from this. The least I could do is call myself out for my issues. What do y'all think? Do you also take issue with a lot of what I described today? Or do you think I may be too harsh? Please let me know, and I hope this didn't ruin your mood or what have you. Especially so, as you can find me on Bluesky and Discord, and now Patreon in the description. Wherever or however you prefer, thank you for coming regardless.